I was doing a little research on Florida and Michigan, and I decided that to break the ice with you all, since you don't know me, that I would craft an ode to Michigan and Florida. So you have to be quiet to hear my ode, all right? You with me? All right. But my ode to Michigan and Florida. You from the South and us Northern Yanks, you'd think we'd be as different as Stone Crab and Franks. But upon closer look, for what it's worth, you might think we were separated at birth. Both states are peninsulas surrounded by water. Granted, your weather's just a smidge hotter. We share thousands of residents. Michigan's snowbirds are evidence. Both states with flora and fauna so fertile, and who knew? Both state reptiles, the turtle. So much in common, more than symbols that connect us. Our county names also intersect us. We've got Calhoun and Jackson, and so do you. You've got Monroe and Bay, we have them too. Our cities both have some unique sights. How about a trip to Donald Trump's for the night? Or, of course, we in Michigan, we have towns called Hell and Bad Axe. Or tell folks for vacation you're going to Climax, Michigan. But the political comparisons, terrible for you and me. Every major state office is now GOP. In 2010, our states were cut to the quick. Both elected Republican governors named Rick. And for you, anti-voter, anti-women, education, healthcare, going to pot, all thanks to the right-wing Governor Scott. So, once again, all eyes are on Florida. The pressure is mounting. Damn the Chads, every vote you'll be counting. I'm telling you now, the R's are afraid. And when he wins, I'm talking Charlie Parade. You know why the R's quake in their boots, because y'all are signing up lots of recruits, and your congressional candidates are on the right track. Deutsch, Frankel, Hastings, Murphy will help take the House back, right? And as for 2016, old Jeb won't save the day. Too many Bushes, his mama did say. So the GOP's auditioning every conservative star. Looks like they're fielding another full clown car. Rand Paul, Rick Perry, Donald Trump blowing his horn. Just put up your feet and break out the popcorn. We'll just let them steep in their party of tea. We'll fight for the White House from Detroit to the Keys. For Florida and Michigan, our candidate could be heaven sent. No finer words, it seems, than Madame President. That's my ode. My ode to Michigan or Florigan. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Enough of that silliness. I want to talk to you about 2014, though. Now, you all know that we are in this moment of deep and pervasive cynicism, right? And for those congressional candidates who are here still, you know what I'm talking about. I know you've seen these polls. There was a polling firm that was tired of polling the favorability of Congress because it just gets so boring to say they're in the single digits, blah, 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 blah. So this polling firm, public policy polling, they decided to pit Congress's approval rating with the approval rating of a bunch of unpleasant things. So it is true, they found that Congress's approval rating is worse than lice, cockroaches, the band Nickelback, Donald Trump, heroin, dog poop. Well, but they did find the silver lining is that at least it's better than meth labs, gonorrhea, and Charles Manson. So maybe we got something to work with. Now, all of the members of Congress who are here are equally really frustrated by this. I know, because they have been stuck with this do-nothing bunch of Republicans who won't let anything good come out of Washington, right? We know where you would be. And it's the Republicans who have caused that approval rating to be in the cellar of American esteem. So, do you know what all pollsters, though, say is the #1 issue for voters? What is it? Jobs. So I'm going to share with you a story. It's a sad story, but bear with me on this, because it's my tipping point story as governor. So in my first year as governor, I got into office. We were just coming out of a national recession. When you're in a national recession, people don't buy cars, right? Michigan is a motor city. And so when things are really bad nationally, people hold on. And so we really do bad in Michigan. But when we come out of a national recession, there's pent-up demand and people start to buy cars, right? So when I was taking over, we were coming out of a national recession and people were saying to me, what a great time to be governor. This is perfect. The jobs will be created. You'll get all the credit. It's perfect. At the end of my first year in office, I get a call from the head of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the entity that works with businesses to commerce stay in Michigan. And he says to me, Gov, we got a big problem. He said, there is a little town in Michigan called Greenville that is about to lose its big refrigerator factory run by Electrolux. And I said, well, remind me, how big is Greenville? And he says, 8,000 people. And I said, well, how big is the factory? He says, almost 3,000 people of those 8,000 work at this factory. This is a one-company town. So I said, new governor, we're supposed to be getting these jobs back. It wasn't happening. There is no way I'm going to let this big factory leave Michigan on my watch. So we brought the entire cabinet to little Greenville. We were in the city hall. The city hall has a room probably about the size of this podium area here. And everybody was there. The mayor and the city manager and the head of the UAW who represented the workers and the head of the community college, the head of the chamber. We were all sitting around this room around a big square table with the management of Electrolux. And we all basically sort of emptied our pockets. We put all of our chips on the table. And we slid our pile of chips across the table to the management of Electrolux. And inside this pile of incentives were things like, we'll give you 0 taxes for 20 years. Or the UAW said, we will give so much in concessions, we don't want you to tell anyone. It was hundreds of millions of dollars. The local community was going to band together to help finance a new factory for them. It was an incredible package of incentives to keep them there. And the management of Electrolux takes our list of incentives and they go outside the room for 17 minutes. And they come back in and they say, wow, this is the most generous any community has ever been to try to keep jobs. But there's nothing you can do to compensate for the fact that we can pay $1.57 an hour in Juarez, Mexico. So we're going. On the month that the last refrigerator came off the assembly line, the employees had this gathering at a big pavilion. You've probably been there, Mark, Clackle's Orchard Pavilion in Greenville. And they called this gathering the Last Supper. It was a community wake, essentially. And we went in, as I went in to this wake, I wasn't even invited, but I was obsessed with the fact that I couldn't keep the factory. It was like a nuclear bomb that went off in this community. And I went to this because I wanted to grieve with them, because I still didn't know what we were going to do. And I went up to the first table, and there were like 1,000 people over there, and they were sitting around these 8 top tables, and they were eating out of box lunches. And there was a sad band playing, or a band playing sad music, not a sad band, but probably a sad band. And this guy comes up to me, and he's got his baseball cap on, and he's got tattoos, and he stands up, and he's got his 2 daughters next to him, and he says, Governor, he says, I'm 48 years old. I've worked at this factory for 30 years. My father worked at this factory. My grandfather worked at this factory. And all I know, he said, is how to make refrigerators. And then he looks at his daughters and he puts his hand on his chest like this. He says, so Governor, tell me, who is ever gonna hire me? Who is ever gonna hire me? And that question has been asked, not just by everybody in that room that day, but by everyone in one of the 62,000 factories that were shut in this country between 2000 and today. 62,000 communities like Greenville. You have them in Florida. I want leaders who are obsessed about how to create jobs in America. And that's why what you are doing, because of course the other side, their philosophy is hands off, laissez-faire, trickle down, let the corporate entities decide, we're not going to intervene. And where has this gotten us?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. It has gotten us nowhere. And for that guy in Greenville, and for the millions of others like him in America, we need leaders in this country and in this state who are going to lose sleep at night figuring out how to create jobs in America in a global economy. Hands off is not going to get us there.